Good morning and welcome to the Camnet Breakfast Show. This is Patrick Soko, and today, as usual, being a Wednesday, we discuss everything politics, governance, and policies. And we have a fully packed program wherever you are watching us from. We are glad that you could find time to follow the proceedings of the Camnet Breakfast Show. And we appreciate your perspective and your views, whichever part of the country you may be watching us from. Those from the Copper Belt, those from the eastern part of Zambia, southern province, those in central province, those in Muchinga, those in northwestern province. Wherever you are watching us from, we want to be getting your views, because at the end of the day, it is your views that matter on the Camnet Breakfast Show. We will be asking a question regarding what has been a big story of the week, and that's the arrest of a former President Edgar Lungu's aide, Mr. Krisa Zuma, who was arrested in relation to charges of terrorism, as well as so proliferation, and it's quite a severe crime according to the laws of Zambia, based on the Anti-Terrorism Act that was revised in the year 2018. And we'll be getting your perspective regarding this perspective. Is that tantamount to political persecution? Is that the police are doing their job as expected? And we are expecting your views, our dear viewers, on this program this morning. But before we do that, let's get to our first segment, which we call the Health Corner for now, so that we can get to hear what Dr. Mufaya has prepared for us this morning. Keep it on Camnet.
Good morning and welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakuyana Mfaya. So this week we are talking about another interesting topic, and we're talking about asthma. So yesterday we talked about some of the triggers of asthma. We said that asthma can be triggered by certain pollutants in the environment, like dust, pollen from plants, and also pets can also trigger asthma if they have dust, and if the fur from the pets, such as a dog or a cat, it can trigger asthma as well. We also talked about infections that affect the respiratory system that can also trigger asthma. Cold air and also exercise can trigger asthma. So today we'll talk about some of the signs and symptoms. How can you know for sure that you are experiencing an asthmatic attack? Whether it's you having it for the first time or somebody who has asthma as a condition, and how can you know that you are having an attack? So one of the ways that you can know is that the person who has an asthmatic attack will start having shortness of breath. So they will not be able to breathe in properly. They will be having difficulties to breathe. And the other thing is that they would have chest tightness. So they'll feel like their chest is very tight on the inside, or because of the inflammatory processes that are going on in the chest, and just how the body is responding to the allergen or the irritant that is irritating the chest. The other thing is that they would have a wheezing sound. So this doesn't happen to everyone. It's not in all cases, but sometimes they would have this wheeze that you'll be able to hear, whether you are close to them or even the patient themselves will be able to hear it when they are breathing. They'll be able to feel some kind of a wheeze in the chest. The other thing is that so the wheezing is more like a sound that you can be able to hear as air is passing through the airways. You'll be able to hear some sound that is happening in the chest. The other thing is that they would have a cough. So the cough doesn't happen in everyone. Some people will not have a cough, and there are others who would only have a cough and not have all these other symptoms. So there's what we call a cough variant asthma. This is the type of asthma where somebody just has a cough, excessive cough. Usually it comes about very suddenly. Maybe they have been exposed to some irritant. Maybe it's a perfume that somebody is wearing and they start coughing because they have been affected by that. So that's one of the symptoms of asthma. So we talked about the symptoms of asthma. We said people with asthma can have a cough, and that can be the only presenting complaint where somebody is just coughing and they're not stopping, and maybe it's becoming worse as time goes on. The other thing is that they would have shortness of breath and difficulties in breathing. They would also have a chest tightness that they would feel in the chest, and sometimes they might hear a sound as they are breathing that we call a wheezing sound. So those are some of the symptoms of asthma. If you experience any of these symptoms, then you need to go to the hospital as soon as possible, because asthma is deadly and it can kill somebody at a very fast rate if it's not attended to quickly, because we need air for us to survive. So if the air is being blocked, then we definitely need to do something about it so the patient can be able to breathe better. So tomorrow we'll talk about the diagnosis and treatment. How is it diagnosed in the hospital, and also how can it be treated? What are some of the medications that are used to treat asthma? So make sure you watch tomorrow again. Invite your friends and your family as well. And if you have any questions, reach out to me on Facebook at Dr. Nakubyanamfire. And if you need to watch other videos, you can watch them on YouTube at Dr. Nakubyanamfire. So I'll see you again next time. Stay blessed and stay healthy.
There you have it. That was Dr. Mufaya there giving us an update regarding the signs and symptoms of asthma. It's quite an enlightening perspective there. And I hope you managed to get the gist of that highlight for today, especially when it comes to the health matters. It is important that we always seek to keep our health every time, because at the end of the day, we have an overall responsibility collectively to ensure that we have a healthy nation, which is translated into a wealth nation. It's very critical that we get to familiarize ourselves with such various diseases that tend to affect mankind. And talking about that very aspect, we are experiencing this cold weather, and I understand that the WHO, World Health Organization, has prescribed that the COVID-19 pandemic is no longer an emergency, but that does not mean that we should relax as a people or as a country. It means that COVID is not just affecting us as it used to be, but it does not mean that COVID-19 has ended, and it means that you can still be affected. No wonder we are still talking about important aspects pertaining to vaccination. So you need to make sure that you get vaccinated to make sure that you get immunized or protection from the COVID-19 and other flu-related illnesses. Because we were talking to some doctors during the Media Science Cafe, where we got to understand and learn that actually, this management of the COVID-19 overall globally has been as a result of the management of the disease in terms of how the vaccination, the preventive measures such as the masking up campaign, those interventions that were being enforced across the globe played a key role in us managing this deadly pandemic that has claimed a lot of our loved ones. And it is still part of those diseases that can affect any person in Zambia. So we need to make sure that we keep fit. This weather is actually usually conducive for diseases like the COVID-19 pandemic. If you notice, it is the same season where we have a likelihood of flus and coughs. So we need to make sure that we continue to observe those guidelines. Sometimes, when you notice that yourself, you are not just feeling too good, it is important that you also take a proactive approach by making sure that you mask up and you also make sure that you sanitize every time to avoid passing the disease to others. So it is very important that we continue to observe such guidelines, especially in the wake of this season that is too cold and it is too mild, and it is usually a favorable condition for the COVID-19 to mutate and to continue to manifest and continue to affect us health-wise. So let's make sure that we are proactive and keep ourselves healthy. And also, it brings me to one other interesting aspect. We need to make sure that our children are well protected against this disease, and we have to make sure that they keep warm as we send our children to school. Let's just make sure that we are sending them to school with the right attire in terms of what they're wearing to protect them from the cold, because it also leads to other diseases that may affect children. So we need to protect the children as parents and guardians so that they are well protected. Now let's also now get to another segment of the day, which is the money market, and we understand how the kwacha is performing against other major convertibles. So now let's look. We are starting with the euro this time around, which is buying at 20 kwacha 67 ngwe and selling at 21 kwacha 08 ngwe. The Great British Pound is buying at 23 kwacha 94 ngwe and selling at 24 kwacha 41 ngwe. $1 is buying at 19 kwacha 27 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha 65 ngwe. The South African Rand is buying at 0.98 kwacha and selling at 0.9 ngwe and 980 ngwe and selling at 0.99 ngwe. And those are your money market. So let's look let's talk about it a bit. We are looking at the kwacha that has been losing ground for a while now. If you see now, it is going towards 20 kwacha against $1, and that is not conducive. If you see on the buying aspect, we are at 19 kwacha 27 ngwe, and on the selling aspect we are at 19 kwacha 65 ngwe. So it has been on a depreciating side. Now I want to also bring to your attention one interesting aspect that has been happening. Of course, this week it is an issue of the issue of fuel. There has been concern from some motorists that probably the oil marketing companies and these fueling station rather, they have been holding on to the commodities in anticipation of the review that the ERB is expected to undertake today. So we saw a partial shortage in some sections of Lusaka. I don't know about other areas if you did experience that, but in some areas, some fueling stations had no fuel. But most of the motorists we're speaking to were of the view that the oil marketing companies were just doing that to make sure that Now let's just take a look at that very aspect. They were suggesting that there's been a drop in terms of availability of this commodity. So today the ERB, the Energy Regulation Board, is expected to rather revise the price upwards, and this is going to be very, very critical today because we're likely to see an increase. Now will that increase be of good to the people? And we're seeing that inflation hasn't been on our side. On the other side, we are hitting a double digit. So these are quite interesting fundamentals in the economy, and we just hope to get through this as a country. And I want us to also get ourselves braced to what will be happening today. So the Energy Regulation Board will be focusing on these aspects in terms of looking at is the based on the kwacha aspect and how the oil marketing, how the oil prices, how it is on the international market to make that decision. Now that we have seen that the kwacha has been depreciating, so of course we are likely to see an increase unless the government makes other interventions to avoid that. But we're likely to see an increase in the price of fuel. So we also saw a lot of panic buying and among some motorists, and that could also add contributed to the shortage, so that you buy the cheaper one before you can be exposed to an expensive fuel that we are likely to see going forward effective 1st June tomorrow. Now, this is very interesting, and we need to make sure that we pay attention to this. The government has been advised several times by players that we need to make sure that there is stability at least for a 3 months as opposed to a monthly review, because they feel that this is inconveniencing, especially in terms of planning for the manufacturing sector, for companies. So it is a debate that has been ongoing, and the finance minister at some point did indicate that they were looking at such issues to say, is it possible? But the finance minister has also justified that they were looking at passing the benefit instantly when the prices are reduced, and also making sure that the prices change instantly when the prices on the international market speaks otherwise. So for now, we are going to also look at our sports segment this morning. There's some interesting fixtures that we have to look at this morning on the program, so that we get ourselves acquainted to this, what has been happening. When we start with the English Premier League, now we are looking at when we're looking at the league, we are seeing that Manchester City were already crowned champions, and the league is over officially. They are playing the Champions League alongside Arsenal, who have who have had a good season this year. The 2022-2023 season has been good for Arsenal, and they'll be playing the Champions League, and they are second on the log. We're looking at Manchester United. Now, Manchester United also are doing fine if you look at that, because it's a team that struggled and could not play the Champions League last time, and now they're back in the League of Champions, and they are on number 3. And we are looking at Newcastle. They are the newcomers. They are also the newcomers playing the Champions League this season, and it is going to be interesting. Newcastle has been a force to reckon with this season. Now, Liverpool also managed, despite their sluggish start to the season, they managed to be in the top 6, in that they'll be playing the Europa League alongside Brighton. Interesting development there for Brighton. It shows how competitive the league has been, and sad for Chelsea and the Chelsea fans like Isaac Chifita. I can only feel pity for them. The season has been bad, and I can testify to that. But it has not been bad as us Zambians who usually now support Leicester City, in that Leicester City were relegated. If you can see they are in the bottom 3, it means that they won't be playing in the league of elites. Now Leicester City relegated, and we have a talk about our own Patson Daka. What's the way forward for Daka? This has been our conversation in Zambia. We have seen that he has been linked to moves to Manchester United and other things. Now we are moving down to the Serie A. These are some of the games that will be played in the Serie A. The league is still on, and we are looking at various games there. As you can see, we have Sassuolo there. There is Fiorentina. Will be on Friday, and we are also looking at Cremonese as well as Sampdoria. They'll be playing on Saturday. We also have Napoli. This is Sampdoria there, and Udinese versus Juventus on Saturday as well. And let's also look at Torino will be up against Inter. And then we have Empoli against Lazio. There we have Monza up against Atalanta, and we are seeing that Blog will be up against Leeds. Interesting games there in Serie A. I think these will also be signaling the end. It was sad. Let's look at the standings. It was sad. I want us to bring us to an interesting aspect. I don't know if Juventus can still compete for the Europa slot. They were actually in the top 4. They were managing to play the Champions League, but unfortunately, their points are deducted. So we are seeing that for now, Napoli were confirmed already as champions for Serie A. Lazio will be playing in the Champions League. Inter Milan and DC Milan again will be playing in the Champions League. And these teams have also demonstrated their competitiveness, and we saw that now Inter will be up against the Man City in the Champions League. So Juventus are placed 7th. This is a team that had dominated this league for a while, but now you are saying that it has justice has not, fate has not been on their side, in that you see that now they are positioned at 7th. We hope that they can manage to play and win and be able to be competitive and be able to play the Europa League. Juventus there, and some of the teams that have been relegated there, you can see the bottom 3 there: Cremonese, Sampdoria, as well as Verona are not going to play in the Serie A. Those have been relegated. They'll be playing in the lower division. So and other teams have to come in. That's the beauty of this football. So we're going to be exposed to other teams, interesting enough. Now let's look at the La Liga. La Liga is the Spanish league, and we are looking at Mallorca up against Vallecano. That will be on Saturday. Is it? Yeah, Saturday. Yeah. So we are also looking at Villarreal up against Athletic Madrid. We also have Osasuna up against Girona. Celta Vigo will be up against Barcelona. Then we also have Real Sociedad up against Sevilla. Real Madrid up against the Athletic Club. Real Betis up against the Varaca there. Then we also have Valencia. We also have Espanyol. This is Almeria. These are the games that will be played. These will mark the end of the games for La Liga as well. Now La Liga also, we have a confirmed champion in the name of Barcelona. They have already been crowned the champions of La Liga this season, and Real Madrid are second, still battling for the second position with Atletico Madrid, and we have Real Sociedad on the fourth positions. Those are the 4 teams that will be playing in the Champions League this season. Now we also come to the relegation side. Now the relegation side, we also have Elche have not going to be playing in the elite league. We also have Espanyol. They want to be playing Variedad. So they also want to be playing in the league. So these 3 nations have been, rather teams have been relegated in the Spanish Premier League there, and that's La Liga. So now they won't be playing. We're going to have new entrants to replace them. That's the beauty of the game. Like I said, we have to give each other space. Now, I think now you can get yourselves abreast to know that Chipolo Polo now will be up against the Ivorians. Ivory Coast is a good rival for Zambia, and interesting enough, you can see for yourself there that the team that has been selected is the team that also managed to beat Comoros and Lesotho there. It is the team that is going to be. Most of the players have been selected, but we have an interesting addition among the defenders. We have Stopila Sunzu, who is going to be playing also in this beautiful game of football, which Zambians enjoy. This game will be taking place at on the Copper Belt. That's at Ndola Stadium, the Levi Mwanawasa Stadium there. So these are the players that the coach has settled for, and we can only wish them the best. And in case you want to get the more details and the analysis rather on the squad and the team, this week on the Off the Pitcher program on Saturday, we'll be looking at just that. Interesting. This is where we'll wrap it up for our sports update on the Camnet Breakfast Show. And I hope you did manage to get yourself acquainted with those sports developments. So now we are going to just zoom in one story first of all before we get to the main stories of our day. And those are stories pertaining to the arrest of former President Edgar Lungu's special advisor politics, Mr. Dr. Chris Zomani Zimba, and these are charges related to gassing. So now let's get to look at this story where the Save Zambezi coalition has called on President Hakainde Hichilema to, with immediate effect, cancel the mining license given to Membeshe Resources Limited to mine in the Lower Zambezi National Park. So let's get to zoom in this story. We'll be back.
Following the decision taken by the Minister of Green Economy and Environment, Engineer Collins Nzovu, to turn down an appeal made by the Save Zambezi coalition to halt the mining activities in the Lower Zambezi National Park, yet to be undertaken by Membeshe Resources Limited, the coalition has turned to Zambia's President Hakainde Hichilema to seek his intervention. Addressing journalists and other stakeholders at a meeting in Lusaka, the coalition has argued that the acquisition of the mining license in a national park by Membeshe did not follow the right procedure since inception, further adding that mining in the national park will destroy wildlife.
Secure a healthy, prosperous and future for communities in the Lower Zambezi, covering Chirundu, Rufunsa, Luangwa districts in Zambia. WWF urges the government to review or rather cancel the license for this mining operation. This would be consistent with the prior political commitments as espoused in the environmental sustainability pillar of the 8th National Development Plan.
Meanwhile, conservation advocates says the 300 jobs that have been promised to be created by the mine cannot be compared to the over 15,000 jobs that have been created through wildlife conservation in the Lower Zambezi, hence joining the league in calling for the president to intervene.
The minister refused to attend to the appeal. This is where we are. This government has missed an opportunity to correct a wrong that was committed by, according to what they say, and perpetuated by their predecessors. And as such, it is our view that they have squandered the chance to stand on the correct side of history. As the old adage says, posterity will judge us all.
Others have also reminded the country that Zambezi National Park is among the 4 national parks standing in the world, and that allowing mining in a conservation area is tantamount to destruction of wildlife.
To proceed with the mine in the national park, we're actually, as a country, we undermine every other protected area system because it will form the basis that anyone can go into any protected area and mine or do large-scale agriculture.
Zambian founding father Kenneth Kaunda, in his last months, wrote a heartfelt protest against the mine. Supporters of the mine rely on the argument that this is a Zambian mine.
But Membeshe Resources Limited in its response, says it has invested modern technology to be used that will allow wildlife to coexist with mining.
As things stand now, we have all the permits that are supposed to be gotten. The courts ruled in the favor of the mine. Everything is on track. We are actually developing the roads going to the mine site right now. So there's nothing stopping us from proceeding. Very soon, we'll be able to start with excavations to do the pit. A lot of misinformation has been given.
For now, the future of Zambezi National Park still remains uncertain now that Mwembeshi Resources Limited has already moved on site to prepare for mining activities.
Well, there you have it, our dear viewers. Now you can give us your views also on that story we are looking at. It was part of our main news on Camnet TV, and interesting enough, we are looking at the Lower Zambezi, mining in the Lower Zambezi. It is an interesting issue in that there has been concern that others are suggesting mining undermines Zambia's wildlife sector, and others are of the view that mining will bring us jobs and also on the revenue aspect. Now, as you heard in that story, both parties have their justification, but what is your view? Are we going to be a country that is going to be mining everywhere and everywhere in terms of just to make money and to neglect natural resources or natural habitats such as wildlife? And are we going to be that generation that is going to leave no wildlife for its children to see? You know, so these are interesting issues that we need to be discussing as a country and preoccupying ourselves with. But when people are making such decisions, what really goes on? Are we that considerate? And when we're doing the blastings and everything in the Lower Zambezi, are we going to have animals living as they have been? What are we doing to the ecosystem? Are those things, are we paying attention to those things as a country? Now that we have the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment, do they have a thrust to make sure that such things are really attended to with the urgency they deserve? What is the view of the people? What are the locals saying? What are the chiefs saying? Let's get these conversations, these serious conversations now. I like one of the points in which one of the speakers in that story did bring out. They bring out an aspect of now, if we allow mining in that locality, it means that precedence will be set that we can mine everywhere, and in national parks it doesn't matter, and it means that you can go ahead with your mining activities because there is an example somewhere where you can, that same thing is happening. In case you want to give us your perspective or join the conversation, you can do so by giving us your views on the Camnet Breakfast Show this morning so that we can get interacting. Do you think mining should be allowed in the Lower Zambezi? Those are views that we want to be talking. And in case, okay, let me just pick this call before I proceed with my thought.
Hello?
Hello, you are through to the Camnet Breakfast Show. Good morning, sir.
Yes, Mr. Soko. This is Jones Mukuma from Livingston.
Mr. Mukuma, how are you and how is Livingston?
Livingston is fine.
You can go ahead with your contribution. What are you crying in Livingston, sir?
Livingston, generally, Livingston is of course cosmopolitan city.
Yes.
But people are crying, things are not okay on the ground.
Okay.
So I want to contribute, you say that matter of mining in the Lower Zambezi, it is unfortunate. The government must have enough teeth to bite. It must not accept such kind of things to be done in the Lower Zambezi. Lower Zambezi is tourism. They must just expand tourism in that area, promote more tourism in that area. Yes, as you have put it, Zambia cannot be a country where you are busy digging everywhere, you start digging. That's where you think there is money. No, there is money in agriculture. There is money in this term of tourism. In fact, there is more money in tourism. Look at Botswana. If you go to Botswana, it is the wild animal that is giving them more money. Tourism. So, we have got this ministry which they have brought up the green economy.
Yes.
I don't see what that ministry is doing. There's nothing. There's nothing. It was just created for that man in Zobu. Maybe he funded the green, but that's all. That's what we see ourselves. And this is what is on the ground, and this is what we discuss on the ground. Then the second one also is from there is about the Catholics versus the government. The Catholics are right, and the Catholics are not only talking today, they started talking long time. Even for these people to say, no, there is democracy, what? Look into 1991, it's the Catholics and the Anglicans that spoke to the late President Kaunda, convincing him, and he brought up to this democracy that we're talking about today. Otherwise, it was one-party state. And you look at even in the PF, the Catholic was speaking against the views, the unfortunate situations under which people were being governed that time. The problem of this party today is that they want to prescribe it. They have put a prescription on how they must be opposed. No! People have to oppose them because they overpromised. People are talking of what they said. It's not that they hate them, no. People are writing on what they said, and what they said has not been done. That's why you see the Catholics are coming up today. That big man, Father Alex saying, who is the better, us or a liar? So they must not fight the Catholics. No. Let the Catholics speak, and let other Christians speak. It's not a demon for the church to speak. They must not demonize church. They must not demonize Christians. No. Anyway, thank you very much. God bless you, Mr. Shoko.
Thank you, sir. We value your contribution always, and we continue to rely on people like you to give us what your views on what is happening and prescribing solutions to various challenges Zambia is facing. Now, interesting views are from Livingstone. You too on the Copper Belt in the eastern part of Zambia, northwestern. We want to hear from you. What are you saying about mining in the Lower Zambezi? Current affairs. What about the issue pertaining to the Catholic Church and the UPND? All those issues. In case you want to come through, you can do so on the number that we are putting on your screen to just get the conversation going and giving us your views and perspective. Now, interesting enough, first of all, I want to zoom in two stories, then we get talking, our dear viewers. And also don't forget the story on the Lower Zambezi. But I also want to zoom in these two stories, then we get the conversation going on the other side. These two stories are bordering on the arrest of former President Edgar Lungu's aide, and that's Mr. Chris Zomani Zimba. He was arrested this week by the police. This is in connection with being in possession of prohibited substances, and this is a restricted chemical. And this chemical, these issues that have been linked to 2020 pertaining to the issues of gassing. This was quite an interesting and hot topic in the Zambian context. If you recall, 2019-2020 was hot with this subject of gassing, where while we're at Kanyama, I know someone has been gassed in Kanyama, all those stories. But now, this story is the arrest of Mr. Zimba is connected to that. And let's just get to listen to this story, where police have confirmed the arrest of former President Edgar Lungu's political advisor, Dr. Chris Zomani Zimba, and 3 others for alleged offense of being in possession of articles of terrorism or proliferation for proliferation purposes contrary to the laws of Zambia. Police spokesperson Ray Amonga says the accused are alleged to have jointly and acted together with others unknown did possess offensive articles, namely Deep 600 and Herothen, and others with intent to endanger life. This is the crime which Mr. Zimba has been charged with. Now, let's get to listen to these two stories. We'll be back and you can be giving us those phone calls so that we can get the conversation going. Those watching us on our social media platforms such as Facebook and YouTube, we value your contribution and your support to the program, and you can leave us that message and tell us where you are watching us from, as well as give us your perspective on the stories we are zooming in. Keep it on Camnet. Former President Edgar Lungu's political advisor, Dr. Chris Zumanizimba, has been arrested on charges related to terrorism. Dr. Zimba was appointed as former President Edgar Lungu's special advisor for politics to replace the controversial Kaiser Zulu in December 2019. He becomes the latest casualty among those who served under the Patriotic Front administration after PF Mandevu constituency Member of Parliament Christopher Shakafuswa was nabbed. The charges Mr. Zimba is purportedly facing are considered a serious offense in Zambia and attract a sentence of life imprisonment in line with the Anti-Terrorism and Non-Proliferation Act of 2018. The Act seeks to prevent and prohibit the carrying out of terrorism financing and proliferation activities, provide for measures for the detection and prevention of terrorism and proliferation activities. Mr. Zimba was arrested Monday, 29th May 2023 in the afternoon around 12 hours and was taken to Woodlands Police, and Patriotic Front presidential hopeful Emmanuel Mamba has charged that the UPND government is targeting PF officials in order to sway people from real issues affecting the nation.
From the information we have is that the police are trying to raise terrorism charges against Zumanizimba and others. This is a very serious matter. This is a capital offense. And like Honorable Nakachinda had exposed last week, that there is concerted schemes against the Patriotic Front and its leadership. And we will see charges like this, where they are fabricated very strong charges and they throw away the key to attempt to intimidate the PF and its leadership. This morning we had the press conference with our Vice President of the party, Honorable Given Luwinda. He also intimated that we are aware of very dangerous schemes to attempt to lock up everyone senior in the PF, and they will look and fabricate and search for charges. And Zumanizimba, as you are aware, has been very active recently, providing analysis, political analysis.
Zambia police spokesperson Ray Amonga has confirmed the arrest to Camnet TV News.
Police in Lusaka have detained Mr. Chris Zumanizimba. Further details of his detention will be unveiled as soon as we are done with our formalities.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Former Edgar Lungu's advisor for politics, Dr. Christopher Zumanizimba, has been formally charged with alleged offense of being in possession of articles for terrorism or proliferation purposes contrary to the Anti-Terrorism Act No. 6 of 2018 after spending a night without being charged at Woodlands Police Station. Dr. Zimba, 43, has been charged with 3 others, namely Given Piri, 37 of Mississippi Compound, Marlon Banda, 36 of 12 Miles area, and Potfa Gwai, 44 of Mutendere Compound, all from Lusaka. Police spokesperson Ray Hamonga says the accused are alleged to have jointly and whilst acting together with others unknown possessed offensive articles, namely Deep 600 and Halothen, and others with intent to endanger life. The incident is believed to have occurred in February 2020 in Petauke District, Eastern Province.
Police in Lusaka have jointly charged and arrested Dr. Christopher Zumanizimba, age 43, of farm number 100 in Chongwe, Given Puri, age 37, of unknown house number in Mrs. Compound, Marlon Banda, age 36, of plot number 811 in 12 Miles area, and Potfa Gwai, age 44, of plot number 194, Mutendero compound in Lusaka for the offense of being in possession of articles for terrorism or proliferation purposes, contrary to Section 25 of the Anti-Terrorism Act number 6 of 2018, as read with Section 2 of the amended Anti-Terrorism Act number 6 of 2023. It is alleged that the accused, jointly and whilst acting together with others unknown, did possess offensive articles, namely DIP 600 and Halothane, and others with intent to endanger life. The incident occurred in February 2020 in Petauke district in Eastern Province of the Republic of Zambia. The accused are currently detained in police custody and will appear in court soon.
While Dr. Zimba becomes the latest victim to face arrest from the former ruling party's camp, some opposition party leaders have described his arrest as ridiculous.
Sad, just being here and seeing the charge that is being accused of is very, very sad. Because for me, one thing I've noticed also is that it's more like they're trying to weaken the former president. Anybody who is seen to be around him, if you look at the people that are being arrested, the people that are normally found with him are being arrested, and people, just anyone that they can, could be PF, all sorts of things. So to be here and to hear that Dr. Chris Zumanizimba, who happens to be my personal friend, by the way, we're together at UNZA from first year all the way to the last year. He's a good friend of mine, and I'm shocked that he can be given such a ridiculous charge as a terrorism. It's very, very sad.
In the case of Chris Zumani, it's very clear. He's been quiet the last 2 years, and there was nothing, no investigations, no police call out, no political harassment. As soon as he began as a political analyst to analyze current affairs and analyze the policies of this government, analyze the presidential speeches, all of a sudden there was attention to him. There was criminal investigations launched against him and others. For us, we think that this is a ploy to attempt to cow us into fear, cow us into, to be intimidated, and use the law to punish perceived opponents. Because, for example, Zumani's last article, the president talked about a cat, that he can go to America, he can go to China. He doesn't mind about the color of the cat, whether it's white and black. And Zumani wrote an article that this current cat can't...
In Zambia, the offense of terrorism is non-bailable and may culminate to life imprisonment. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News in Lusaka.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Camnet Breakfast Show with me, Patrick Soko. And interesting stories we have looked at. That's the story bordering on the arrest of Mr. Zimba. In case you want to give us your views on that story and the other story on the Lower Zambezi mining in the Lower Zambezi, you can do so, and we get interacting. You can give us your perspective. Now, interesting questions I also have myself is that why do we had to wait for that long to just arrest Mr. Zimba for a crime that was an offense that is likely to have been committed, and that should have been in the year 2020. Now, what has been the situation there? So does it mean that the police could not arrest him by then? What are those issues? Was there interference? We need to understand a lot of dynamics around this story. But are we proactive in terms of fighting crime? Now, that goes to the justification which Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba the former envoy to the Republic of Ethiopia, is writing. That's an interesting aspect where he's also analyzing the concept of, and you say, Mr. Zimba has been vocal of later. He has been making analysis, and he has been also submitting articles to international media, and all of a sudden he has attracted government attention, and the law enforcement agencies have followed him. Let's get to pick up this call. Hello, good morning, sir.
Morning, how are you?
Fine, and how are you, sir?
I'm good.
Okay.
I want to start with the Lower Zambezi.
Yes, sir.
My dear, when we talk of PF destroying this country, the supporters of PF, they get done, which is very bad. There is no normal government which can accept mining in Lower Zambezi. Now the question is, why did the government of PF accept mining in Lower Zambezi? Look at the same government. Even this forest
Yes.
The same government accepted to sign and allow people to do the rest. This is the same government which brought KCM and Mopani down. If Mopani and KCM was closed, but they allowed the laws a bit. This is very bad. Now, this is again the same people who are on top of their voice, who committed such serious offenses, but they are always complaining. Now, coming to the rest of that stuff, you know, people lost life during gas. To them, they don't consider us as important. What they consider is someone to be arrested. It is very bad. People have to know that they're crying for their children, their families. Now, if that person is identified that he was one of those gases, why should the people start supporting him? Those opposition, were they happy when people are dying? No. We don't do like that. What is important? Someone to be arrested and someone to die. No, let him rot there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Interesting views there from one senior citizen in Lusaka. Let him rot there. And that's is just illustrating the comparison aspect over the two incidents. And that's to say, the gassing traumatized a lot of people. The gassing incidents, they traumatized a lot of people. And that the PF is just looking on the other at one aspect of the issue and not necessarily focusing on the other issue. Of the consequences of the gassing issues. So now, in case you also want to join us by giving us that view, you can do so on the Camnet Breakfast Show. And you can also leave us a message on our socials, being on Facebook as well as YouTube. And we'll be glad to get that message as well as that phone call so that we can continue to tapping into your knowledge and wisdom on national issues. Now, interesting issues. I was looking at when the issue pertaining to gassing. You know, a lot of children were killed. We saw how the police were reacting, and you know, Zambians became agitated and annoyed, and that eventually led to an interesting issue of riots for the first time, like after a long time of like after a long time where such episodes, we had riots in several parts of the country where citizens had to say enough is enough. We do not feel protected by the police. We do not feel that leaders are doing anything to stop this scourge where we continue to see people at night terrorizing our communities and by gassing them. So we saw those rise. That's just the historical perspective of that story. But now, the arrest now that was made by the police is that it points out to terrorism-related activities. Now, this is an unbailable offense. It is a serious offense in the laws of Zambia. Now, where does this case go? We are going to be following this case because soon this case will be before the courts of law, and we are going to be making a lot of updates regarding that case because that's a case of national interest. Let's pick this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. How are you once again?
Fine, and how are you, sir?
I'm very much fine.
Yes.
Yes, there's a full Okay.
You can go ahead. Thank you very much for your perspective, sir. He's talking about priests speaking for them and they to provide checks and balances because they're saying anyone who speaks against the government is being labeled and they as an opposition, as anti-government. Interesting issues there coming there. The issue of the priest talking about poverty issues affecting the nation. Well, the church has always been providing that guidance in terms of checks and balances. And we know that, for example, we have critical church mother bodies that have to speak to those issues. For instance, we have a church mother body in the name of the Council of Churches in Zambia. That is the CCZ, that is headed by Father Emmanuel Chikoya. And we also have the Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia, EFZ, and that is also headed by Bishop Andrew Mwenda. They all speak about these governance issues and issues affecting the nation. We have another call. You are through to the Camnet Breakfast Show. Good morning.
Morning, sir. How are you?
Fine, and how are you?
Fine, thank you. This is Stephen.
Calling us from where?
I want to contribute.
Mr. Stephen, you are calling us from where?
I'm calling you from Somwezi.
Sowezi. Thank you. You can go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to comment about Zambezi, Lower and
mining in the Lower Zambezi, yes.
Yes. The other caller, not the previous caller, the other caller after that one, contributed things like it was PS that started.
Yes.
Now, since it's PS started, who is now ruling? Is it PS or UPND? Meaning that the UPND, they promised to say when we come into power, we'll stop this. What is it that they are failing now to do, or why are they not stopping it? So that's the question. And then you find that there are animals there. The people were crying. The PS are doing this and that. Now UPND comes in. They go ahead. And then on Zumanani, my contribution can, you know what, life the way it is, the president himself should also listen from the opposition. Not that the opposition are talking, you are listening. Everyone who talks, they are listening. Who is he going to listen to? A good leader who listens from the people and take out the best and leave out other things that are not necessary. So please, the entire leadership of UPND needs to be criticized. Even when criticism comes, it will come positively or negatively. But you have to take the positive and work on the positive and leave out the negative. It's not everything that is negative. And it's not everything that you are going to say, or you are going to lavish them or attacking. So my advice to the leaders and to my president, please take criticism and let the people talk. Do not silence them. That is just my way.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. We appreciate your comment there. And interesting aspect is also bringing out to say now the UPND has an opportunity to make the difference in terms of making that decision pertaining to the mining in the Lower Zambezi. You are in office now and you can do something. The PF may have committed that wrong. They are no longer in office and they were judged by that mistake and Zambians voted them out. You have an opportunity, President Hakainde Hichilema. How are you addressing this important issue? Those are the views from our caller there, and just also criticize, just counter-arguing with our previous caller who also blamed the previous administration over having started these mining activities and a lot of other illegalities, such as also allocating of plots in the forest reserve number 27 and among other issues which the PF administration was entangled in. Now we are looking at this subject and that the current administration led by President Hakainde Hichilema has an opportunity to make things right by correcting the mistakes that were made by the previous administration. So these are views that we continue to get from the viewers. The viewers are never short of wisdom, and they never disappoint in terms of giving us various perspectives on the subjects we look at here on Camnet TV, and we always value that support wherever you are watching us from. Always remember to get in touch with us and tell us issues that are affecting you in your community. Let's pick this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Fine, and how are you, sir? Your name and where you are calling us from?
This is Elvis from Shangombo.
Mr. Elvis from Shangombo, not Lusaka?
Not in Lusaka.
Interesting. Shangombo is listening.
Yes, and I do contribute one step.
Oh, interesting. Oh, would love to come to Shangombo and explore issues there.
You're welcome, and it's not how people view it. It's a nice place for now.
We have to explore the beauty. Interesting. You can go ahead for your contribution, sir.
Yes, me, I'm contributing concerning the bishops and the UPNG.
Yes.
I'm sure there should be the spirit of tolerance both sides. The church and the UPNG themselves. To the church side, I'm hearing a lot of people condemning only one side of the UPNG and not condemning as well the church.
Yes.
The church is the mother here, but even them, the way they do come out with certain issues, there are certain priests that will only be criticizing the government and they not offering any solution. And they seem to be doing that concurrently. So let's see, as we continue, look at both sides as well. Of course, we can be blaming the government, maybe because of the issues that we are going through, high cost of living and all sorts of issues. But let us also look at the both sides. And if we are saying the UPNG should be criticized, even the church should also be criticized. That is how we should live in community. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for your contribution, sir. Now, let's also zoom in one story, two story rather, where traders, vendors at the Comesa market in Lusaka have told the government to stop chasing them from the streets if they cannot be provided with alternative trading spaces. And another story where Little Assisi School for Children with Special Needs Representative Sister Kay O'Neill has implored the government to support organizations that are providing support to children with disabilities in the country. So let's look at those two stories. We'll be back on the other side.
According to local authorities, street vending is illegal. But for many Zambians, particularly those who are unemployed, it remains an important source of livelihood. Tuesday, those operating near the traffic lights at Comesa Market in Lusaka vowed not to vacate the street, citing lack of trading space in markets. According to the traders, the Lusaka City Council has directed them to stop operating from the street until the Comesa Summit, which is slated for the 6th of June 2023, is concluded, adding that the local authority has warned of confiscating their merchandise if they resist to adhere to the directive.
Banali pa Saturday, sen pa Saturday, banabwela bakanso police. After babwela bakanso police, barabwa batuza ati lekani kutantika bintu vanu vonse. Nichani chametekele kutantika ati ai kubwela ma officers bazaba kutengeleni makatundu aya. Mandu wachani ati kuzakala summit. So bani kuzakala summit tifuna ukuconcert kiline. So ngabona nanga why bonse abakozi ni mwose tile street white pezeke kutini kuno kweka kwantakala affected ati yes because kuzakala summit yelo summit zakalira apa Comesa headquarters. So my officials bonse bazabwera bazakhala muti bazabwera checking a market.
Tutapriza chakuti babwera check seni babwaka mbao msatantike tawafunza. Nanga tala kwa
wachani atukuzangala meeting ma meeting yosumukatiuze kuti meeting musatantike there so oke tikatanzula pamanyi tizakapotantikaliti atitiziwa so sitiziwa vevasakira kulise batiuze chabe kuno noti vambotivutisa tizanda kuti.
They have lamented that they largely depend on their small businesses for income, and removing them out of the street without an alternative trading place will negatively affect their businesses.
Any vacanso vakanamo kuti go and do because kwa vatituma kuli antowolo ni kada ni UPND kada manje how come government itutuma kuli makada but because the president said no kadalism how come kutitende kuli makada because the council they have to advise us and they have to give us notice so you people from this side to this side this is the notice there will be something which will be happening this time manje sana tuzeko vili voice wanabwera che sudden how can you survive sudden che kukupisha ero munyumba sona kule na vili voice it's a business yatu ni hand to mouth
removing marketeers the poor people from where they are selling from just for their selfish interest. I know what they are saying is that there is a SADC whatever. That SADC conference is not happening at Comesa Market. No, it is happening at Mulungushi conference. So those guys in the office, those who occupied the office illegally, the Mr. Kachingwes and the Titus Sankisha, they have a wrong motive. They want to suppress the people.
Meanwhile, the Lusaka City Council says it has not issued any notice that vendors at Comesa will return to the street once the summit is concluded. The local authority has, however, advised all traders to move back to their respective trading places.
The story of rather where they are alleging that we told them to come back after the summit. There's no notice from the local authority telling them to come back after the summit. What we've been engaging them is to ask them to go back to their respective markets and operate from there and do business from there. Not that after the summit they will have to come back. That area has to be left clean, it has to be left free.
These vendors rely on the income they earn from their small businesses to support themselves and their families. However, street vending can also have a negative impact on public health and safety, as well as on the overall beauty of the city. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Children with cross-cutting disabilities gathered at the Mulungushi International Conference Center in Lusaka Tuesday, 30th May 2023, in readiness for the Ring the Bell annual campaign. The campaign is aimed at raising awareness of the importance of education for children with learning disabilities. They marched from Mulungushi to East Park Mall, where the commemoration was being hosted. Melin Koma, a programs officer at Cheshire Homes Society of Zambia, underscored the need to create a conducive environment for children.
This year's theme, which is inclusive play-based early childhood education, is very apt to our cause. We realize that children with disabilities have no access to inclusive play schemes, which further works against them as they are deprived of play, which is essential to their physical, emotional, and social development. From this year moving forward, we will campaign for inclusive play-based early childhood education till tangible results are attained.
Little Assisi School for Children with Special Needs representative Sister Kay O'Neill implored the government to support organizations that are providing support to children with disabilities.
Our work is huge. We work under difficult conditions with very few resources. I am sorry to say this, but we get very little support from the government, such as we are complementing government's efforts in the delivery of services to children with disabilities. Today, I make an earnest appeal to the government, through you, our guest of honor, to consider allocating yearly budgets to organizations such as ours that seek to improve the lives of children with disabilities.
Ruth Singoi, is a social welfare officer from the Ministry of Community Development and Social Welfare.
It is imperative to mention that your efforts of working with persons with disabilities throughout the country and implementing activities through established social services is commendable job, as you are supplementing government efforts in addressing issues pertaining to vulnerable children in society, in particular the disabled children. We would also like to encourage you to continue assisting government in uplifting the living standards of these vulnerable children in our community.
And the Ministry of Education highlighted commitment to uplifting the livelihoods of children with disabilities.
The quality of early childhood education is still with a lot of challenges, as construction of age-appropriate facilities are not yet realized. However, I'm delighted to inform you that the ministry has embarked on construction of age-appropriate facilities for early childhood education.
And after the speeches, it was that time for the children, parents and teachers and other stakeholders to make the awareness noise. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
This Thursday, 1st June 2023, at 20:45 hours, catch the economic briefcase with our guest, Brabna Changala, the civil rights activist, with the host, Dr. Luinda Habazoka, and the co-host, Noanja Pao. Our topic for this Thursday is OCI, DEAR, and National Economic Development. Don't miss. Catch us on DSTV channel 274, GoTV channel 25, Topstar channel 106. We also live on YouTube, Facebook. Don't miss. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
There you have it, quite interesting stories. We were zooming in there and we looked at a story pertaining to the traders at Comesa Market. If you are that trader, give us that call in case you want to share with us more details pertaining to that. Is Kadarism back? We're looking at some of the comments that were coming there. She tells me that we really have a mountain to climb as a country, because I think we may be having an ineffective and inefficient local authority in the Lusaka City Council, because at the end of the day, they are sharing proceeds, or revenue rather, with cadres, because they are in charge of markets and bus stations, and they are supposed to man these places, but they are delegating their responsibilities to these individuals. Well, you, our dear viewers, can give us your perspective also on those stories pertaining to traders. Now, what an interesting aspect about that now is that we'll be hosting a commercial summit here in Lusaka. That's why they want to clean up the vendors and everything. It was the same when we had the African Union Summit. But are we going to be operating on such a trajectory as a country? Can't we be clean throughout the year? Can't we address vending? Can we provide a sustainable solution to vending? Can't we? Why are we failing to stick to the designated vending streets? Really, we need to be serious as a country. Now, on set, I've been joined by Nelson Zulu. Mr. Zulu.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Fine. How is the morning?
The morning is just okay. It's been quite an interesting week. Yeah, a lot of events coming up, and getting to get the job right and bringing information to the people, because it is our core business to ensure that there's an understanding of what is happening in the country. Before
you came, I was interacting with our viewers on various issues, Mr. Zulu. The viewers did give me their perspective on the arrest of Mr. Zimba. They have also given us a perspective on the mining on the Lower Zambezi. and also the topical issue of the priest and the UPND. The viewers are interested in these stories. They have been giving us their opinions on this subject. Now, I want to get your perspective also on the issue pertaining to Mr. Zimba's arrest. What are the nitty-gritties of that story? Where are we? And you were at the Woodlands police station there.
Yes, I was at Woodlands police station. I can safely confirm yesterday, where we saw some opposition leaders showing up at the likes of Chandakawe that appeared to show solidarity to the former political advisor to the former president. We also had Emmanuel Mwamba and Savoy Mboela. But what seemingly was an accusation that was coming from all these people is that why is the arrest being conducted now? Why were they all this while? And there was also an argument to say this person was picked up from home without a call out, and then at the end of the day you leave them in police cells without charging them. Where is the law? What is happening? So why should you arrest somebody if you're not yet done with your investigations? What exactly is happening? And then crying foul, say you are trying to weaken the former Republican president, because it seems like you are arresting these people that are closer to the incumbent president. So why is the case? All those were matters that were on the ground, but as it is, Dr. Christopher...
To the previous president.
Yes, to the previous president. As it is, Dr. Christopher Zumani Zimba has actually been arrested and will be appearing in court soon, because that charge that has been slapped on him is non-bailable, and previously it used to carry a sentence of death penalty. Yeah, a sentence that was amounting to death penalty, but with the scrapping off of death penalty and everything, it's now culminating to life imprisonment. So we await on how the case will actually unfold, because they're saying he's going to be appearing in court very soon.
Interesting. So now, talking about the death penalty there, and though the death penalty is still part of some of our statutes, we have a lot of legislations.
Exactly.
And, it's an interesting story there. So we'll follow the proceedings from the court. I think that's where there will be a lot of issues being reviewed. As you know, Camnet TV is the first in court reporting, in that we make sure that we give you updates from the judiciary side of things and give you updates on courts. And I will be bringing those stories from the courts to you, our dear viewers, so that you can get to understand the various aspects and dynamics of these stories. So quite interesting issues there emanating from the political side of things. We're also looking at the issue pertaining to mining in the Lower Zambezi, and various stakeholders have also commented to say if mining was condemned under the Patriotic Front, they made a mistake by allowing mining, and they were condemned and they were crucified by the Zambian people by voting them out. I think UPND has an opportunity as the party in government to make the difference.
To make a difference.
We have to continue with mining in the Lower Zambezi. Are we going to be mining everywhere and anywhere? Those are issues that people were also responding to. And they are quite serious issues, if you ask me, because our wildlife is important and tourism is important.
It's important as well.
So there's a way we as a country need to strike a balance. When we talk about sustainable development, we are talking about being able to do development for future generations. And, you can imagine if we continue to destabilize every ecosystem we find as a country. These are where we find issues pertaining to climate change. Now, you see, as a country, we have also been grappling with the issue of human-animal conflict. And now, this is also a big issue, Mr. Zulu, that we continue to cover now. If we are continuously going into the habitats of wildlife, how do you expect to live in harmony with wildlife? So what I've begun to learn is that we follow the animals to where they are. The animals do not follow us, but we follow them into their territory and start building around their vicinity. And when they cross, they cross your message, then you say, no, these animals, there is this human-animal conflict that we have continuously been fighting. Even it will be the same under for example, if mining is to take place there, because what does that you need to understand that mining brings a lot of things. It brings a lot of development aspects. Because people now will be employed. People will be moving from one city to the other to go and settle there. How do they settle? You have to settle near your workplace. For example, this is Kablonga. We are saying Mr. Zulu will be going to Mtendere. Mr. Zulu will be going to Chilenje, which is near the office. You understand? Exactly. But it is the same with mining. So these people will be, the developments are happening. You start moving to the vicinity of this landscape for animals. Now, what happens is that human-animal conflict wages. Yeah. Now you tend to start killing animals. You start doing all these illegal things. So these, at the end of the day, are things that we need to pay attention to as a country when we're talking about sustainable development. We are looking at mining communities that are there. Have we seen any development in mining communities to talk about? If you ask me, for me, we have not seen any tangible development to what mining has done for Zambia in areas where even mining, such as the Copper Belt. Can you believe that 50 years after independence and the exportation of copper, our tallest building is still Findeco House? And we are ashamed as a country.
And a lot of people only talk about Copper Belt, but we also have mining compounds such as Rufunza, we've got Chipata. Yes. But all
what is there to show for?
There's nothing to show for.
There's really nothing.
If you go to Luangwa, the case is the same.
So for me, it's even better in game reserves. There is development compared to others, because you find these nice facilities, lodges and everything, and people have a nice view of animals compared to just pits that have been left by these mining firms, and that's a degradation of the environment. But at the end of the day, what have we benefited as a country tangibly to say, But you are seeing that our copper is transforming cities elsewhere. Our copper is transforming, because these cities, if you go to cities like cities in the US, cities in China, they need this copper to be transformed to maintain the standard, to facelift. But what do we do with our copper? I think what we have only done is making that bait. That's at the falcon and making cables. That's what we can do locally. But you see, and we go and import all these things. At the end of the day, at the expensive price. But when we can do that, so those are things we need to be focusing on when we're looking at mining, tourism, and other aspects. So let's be paying attention to those things. They really matter.
Yeah, I think for me, there's also matters relating to policy. For some time, we've had policies that are very porous, or policies that are okay, but in terms of effecting them, it becomes a challenge. When you talk about mining, we've got a lot of laws that exist, but you find that the effecting process into ensuring that these laws are actualized is actually not there to show, say, okay, this is how it's supposed to be mining. We've had issues where people are complaining about pollution coming through from the mines. We've had issues where people are complaining about, no, our water has been contaminated simply because of a nearby mine. But all these issues are not looked at to its conclusivity, to even create an understanding to the general populace to say, this is the case.
Interesting. So I think this is where we have to call it a day, and appreciate our viewers for watching the Camnet Breakfast Show, Wednesday edition, Governance, Policy and Politics. This has been Patrick Soko and Nelson Zulu. Until tomorrow, when we come with another interesting program, and we have a guest who's going to give us interesting views on current affairs. Stick around tomorrow to make sure that you get that insight. We are going to look at issues pertaining to mining in the Lower Zambezi. We are going to look at issues pertaining to the confrontations between the UPND and the Catholic priests. We are also going to look at issues pertaining to the high cost of living and the price review, monthly price review of fuel, which we'll look at. As you are already aware, the ERB will be revising the fuel pump price today, and we just hope that it will be on our side, because as consumers we only hope for the best, and we don't want the worst, and lower is better for us. This is what we have to call it a day. This has been the Camnet Breakfast Show. Remember, Camnet TV is not just another channel.